Cedar with Cedar Creek Dulcimers, and you're watching Lesson 3, Part B. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to make even more chords on our dulcimer. First of all, we're going to start off by learning all about seventh chords. Then we're going to learn what to do if the group we're playing with wants to play or sing their song in flats, like E flat or A flat or B flat. But before we start that, there was something I forgot to show you at the end of the first part of this lesson that I want to show you now. And that's some more practice songs on our YouTube page that you can use the chords with that you've already learned in the first half of this lesson. Okay, if you head over to our YouTube page and you select Playlist, that's going to bring up different categories. One of those categories is music to chord along with. And when you open that up, it's going to open up a variety of all kinds of backing track songs that you can already chord along with the chords that you learned on the first half of this lesson. Now, we're not affiliated with any of these groups, so if you end up finding a genre that you like, of course, you can subscribe to that particular person and get a lot more of these that are available out there. There's tons of these backing tracks available. The only thing you have to look for is on some of these, they're going to say, for example, where here it says Capo 3. See, these were designed for guitar. So the ones that say Capo 1 or Capo 2 or Capo 3, you want to avoid because they're not really playing the chords that they're shown when they're using the capo on the guitar. So that's the only thing I'd say when you're out there looking for different things. Avoid any of them that say anything about using a capo because the chords they're showing will not be the chords that they are actually playing. And for those of you who do have one of our electric dulcimers, make sure you stay tuned to the end of this, and I'm going to show you some fun things that you can do to make it feel like you're really part of the band. Okay, let's get back to our lesson. Okay, let's talk about those seventh chords. Now, for you first-time musicians, what I'm referring to is in the songbook, instead of a D, there might be a D with a little 7 at the top right-hand corner, or a G with a little 7, or an A with a little 7, and so forth. And that's what we're referring to as a seventh chord. Now, first things first, we can take the advice of a musician friend of mine that works here in Branson. In Branson, he's what they call a utility musician. In other words, he plays everything there is. So whatever instrument they need played on a song, he can play it for them, and that's what keeps him so busy. Well, when I asked him about this years ago, because I knew nothing about music theory, he said, well, on a dulcimer, don't even worry about it. And he said, here's why. He said, because to make a seventh chord, we start with our regular chord, like here's our D chord. And then to the 3 notes that make up the regular chord, the idea is you add a 7th note to it. So, and it's the 7th note of that scale. So if I'm doing a D chord, it would be D, E, F, G, A, B, C would be my 7th note. So if I'm doing that D chord, the full D chord, and then you're supposed to add the 7th note, the C, to it. Well, see, there's the dilemma with the dulcimer. There's not a 4th string there. So if we want to add a 7th chord, we have to take away one of the notes that make the regular chord. And so that's why he said don't even worry about it, because everybody else, you're making the root chord, and that's going to match with everybody else anyway, even if they're doing a 7th chord. He said, matter of fact, if he's just playing backup for singing, and his instrument is not the main instrument, he said he don't even bother doing 7ths on his guitar or anything else. But if you do want to add the 7th chord in, what we do is we take one of the notes from that D chord, for example, and we need to add the C to it. So if I'm doing my D chord, I got a C right up there, so I can add that C in, and that'll give us that 7th chord to it. And wherever we're at, we can always figure it out that way. Like if we're doing a C chord and we want a C 7th, 7 notes up, C, D, E, F, G, A, B would be the 7th note. So if I'm doing my C chord, that's G, A, B would be right there. So that's how you would figure out how to make a 7th chord out of any chord. Is just take whatever chord you're playing, A, B, C, D, E, F, G would be the 7th chord if you're doing an A. Now, if you want a real simple way of making a seventh chord on a dulcimer, you can do, there is a seventh chord that uses a constant pattern, just like the other chords we've already learned. For example, you know when we was doing our power chord, that first power chord position, where we're at the same fret on the middle string and the bass string, and we go 3 notes up, and anywhere we go, that gave us that power chord. Well, the seventh chord is very similar to that. You're on the middle and the bass string, the same fret, but instead of 3 frets up, if you go 2 frets up, that'd be your 7th note for that chord. So wherever you go, whatever note you're on here, the middle and the bass are at the same fret, you go 2 frets up on the first string and you'll get a power chord anywhere you go. Now, if you want to know the name of that power chord, the bass string tells you the name. So if I'm in G, A, B, C, so when I'm holding down here, that would be a C7 power chord. And if I'm here, that's G, A, B, that'd be a B7 power chord. And G, A would be there, so A7 power chord. So anywhere you go, that pattern will get you a 7th chord on your dulcimer. Okay, now we're going to learn what to do if the group we're playing with wants to play or sing the song in E flat, A flat, or B flat. Now right off the bat, just so you know, you do not have a full E flat chord, you do not have a full A flat or B flat chord. So basically you have 3 options. Option number 1 is you just don't play on those songs and you maybe grab a tambourine or something to play along that way. If that's not a workable option for you, option number 2 is you fake your way through the chords, because that is possible to do. I did it for years on the dulcimer. And actually I learned about it from watching the fiddlers in the shows around here. When the band would be playing a song in a key that the fiddler's not familiar or comfortable with, they would just pick one note of that song and just linger on that one note as they were doing that chord. And then when they would switch to another chord, they would just linger on that note as well too, and just kind of be in the background. So they're still playing and they're still able to be heard, but of course they're not trying to stand out. So there's the next option. And to give you an idea what that option is like, just to show you how it would work. Well, first of all, for example, let me show you the 3 different chords. If they say we're singing in E flat, like I said, we don't have a full E flat chord, but we do have the G note that is part of the E flat chord. So when they want to sing an E flat or play an E flat chord, we can just do the G note and just linger in the background, and it'll harmonize right along with them as they're doing that E flat chord. Now for a B flat chord, we at least do have 2 of the notes. We got the D and the F, so we can fake that one even a little bit better because we at least have 2 of the notes now. And then the A flat chord, the only note we have there is a C. So I'm just making sure that the only note that's ringing on my dulcimer is a C. So that's how we would fake our way through it. Now, to give you an idea, let me play a song, back up to a song here that's in E flat, 2, just to show you how this would work. 4. How you would fake your way through it when they wanted to play in those particular keys. That's how to fake your way through the E flat, A flat, and B flat chords, you know. Okay, so that was second option. Now the third option is this, and again I've noticed this from watching usually guitar players in the shows. Whenever the guitar player would want to do different tuning on a particular song on their guitar, like a drop D tuning is pretty popular, then they can use that bottle slide on it, if you've ever seen them do that. Well, instead of stopping and retuning their guitar in the middle of their show for that one particular song and then have to retune back for the next song, they would just switch out guitars. And the second guitar was already tuned in the drop D tuning, so they could just immediately start playing. Well, that's your third option. You can get a second dulcimer that's actually tuned in E flat. Now, as a builder, this is the option that we prefer for you to have. You know, how many more dulcimers are you going to get? Well, just one more. That's all I need, just one more. But anyway, so if we have one dulcimer tuned to G, okay, now we can do all the regular chords, the most common chords like we learned in the first half of this lesson. Now we have a second dulcimer that's tuned in E flat. Like E flat, A flat, and B flat, and without having to fake it, we can actually do the full chords as we're playing along with the group, and we don't have to just slide off into the background. We can stand right there in the forefront and be heard. And so that's our third option, and it's the option I prefer myself as well too, all joking aside. Now, when I want to play in, like, for example, they're going to sing an E flat. When I grab my E flat dulcimer, in my mind, I'm not thinking all new chords. It's not like, okay, I got to remember this is an E flat now, you know, and that's a B flat now. I don't think that way at all. I know that since I'm tuned to E flat over here, when they say we're singing in E flat, I do the same positions as I would in G on my regular dulcimer. So in other words, in my mind, they say we're singing in E flat. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I act like I'm playing in G. And all my chord progressions would be the same patterns as if I was playing in G. And then if they want to sing in B flat, that would be the same chord progressions as when I'm playing in D on this dulcimer. So they say B flat. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's the same patterns as I use in D. That would be the same pattern as when I'm playing in C over here. So in other words, in my mind, I'm thinking the key of C. For those keys, you don't even have to remember what the minors are for them, because again, the patterns would be the same. Remember when we was in the key of C and we wanted the minor for that chord, we just took that middle string and moved it up one. Well, that would be the same pattern here. I don't even have to know what minor it is. I just know that's the minor that goes along with that key, you know, for example. Same way when I'm doing my G down here, or like as if I was doing my G position, I'm sorry. Then I had the middle string, that would be the minor for the key of E flat. And again, I don't have to know what minor it is necessarily, I just know that's the minor for that key. So there's a simple way of converting it over without confusing yourself when you do switch from one instrument to the other in the different keys. Okay, now for those of you who happen to have one of our electric dulcimers, and if you happen to have one of the effects pedals like we sell, or something similar to this, they have an auxiliary in connection on the side right there. Matter of fact, some of the amplifiers we sell here in the shop have it as well too. What that allows you to do is connect another device up to your effects. In this case, it's going to be our phone. We're going to, those backtracking songs that I told you about that are on our YouTube page, we're going to be able to pump through our effects pedal, and then we'll be able to mix our instrument in with the instruments that are playing, so that way it comes out like we're more part of the actual band playing along with them. Now, you can either take have a cord adapter that you just plug into it. I happen to have found this little Bluetooth adapter. I actually got it at Menards for under 10 bucks even. And I'm sure Walmart or Best Buy or any of those places would have it as well. What this allows you to do is turn that into a Bluetooth connection. So now instead of hooking up through a cord, I can just Bluetooth my phone directly to that now, so I don't have to run another cord. So now we're going to go to our playlist section. Let me go back to the home section. That's what it looks like when you first open our YouTube page. Go to playlist, select music to chord along with, and let's just pick our first one right there. Randy Travis, Forever and Ever, Amen. And we can go ahead and switch it to where we got a bigger view. It lets us know what key we're playing in. Now, before we really get started playing, we might want to adjust our volume to match the instruments that are playing in his band. So that way it feels like we're more part of the band instead of, us playing here and the music coming out of another speaker, for example. That's the whole idea with Bluetoothing it together, so you actually feel like you're really part of the band. So with that in mind, I believe we got our instrument set up pretty good right there. What we're going to do, we're going to hit play and start playing along. And it may take you a half a dozen times of going through a song to get used to the rhythm and the feel of that particular group. But just keep at it till it feels comfortable to you and pick out your favorites and do them over and over again. So let's get started here. I'm going to punch it, get ready to go here. And Forever and Ever, Amen, in the key of D. We're going to follow along.
You may think that I'm talking foolish. You've heard that I'm wild and I'm free. You may wonder how I can promise you now this love that I feel for you always will be. But you're not just time that I'm killing. I'm no longer one of those guys. As sure as I live, this love that I give is gonna be yours until the day that I die. Oh baby, I'm gonna love you forever, forever and ever, amen. As long as old men sit and talk about the weather, as long as old women sit and talk about old men, if you wonder how long I'll be.
Well, that gives you the idea anyway. I think we've got enough of it to show you what I'm talking about. The idea is not for you to watch me play anyway. The idea is to get you going so you can be doing this for yourself and having all kinds of fun and getting all kinds of practice in. So when you are ready to play along with a group, you'll feel a little bit more comfortable about doing it. Well, if you have any questions about chording, you can leave comments in the comment section of this lesson. Or if you email us or catch us on our website, ask any questions there in the comment section or on our Facebook page. Have a lot of fun and we'll see you next time.
I'm gonna love you forever and ever, forever and ever, amen. They say time takes its toll.